Now, the Public Servants Association of South Africa is warning this afternoon, and particularly government, against rushing employees back to work despite SA moving to lockdown alert level 1. The union says several departments still do not have the necessary infrastructure to ensure that employees maintain social distancing and adhere to other health protocols. What are the concerns? The Assistant General Manager of the PSA is Reuben Maleka, who joins me now on Monday lunchtime. Mr. Maleka, good afternoon to you. So what specifically then are you concerned about?
Good afternoon, Jeremy and the viewers of ENCA. We are concerned in the sense that after the pronouncement of the President for level 1, we have noted that most of the departments, DGs and managers, rushed to immediately say that the workers must come back to work 100%. We warned at the time to say that we don't need to see the second wave of COVID-19 in this country. Therefore, we said the departments must ensure, before they even get excited and call everybody to come back to work, they must ensure that there's enough safety regulations and protocols to safeguard the employees for contracting the COVID-19. Some of the departments, when we ask them whether there's enough space and enough resources to ensure that the workers would not be infected, we could not get an answer. Hence, we said that they should not be rushing back as if COVID-19 is gone, is still with us.
So this is a warning then that you're sending to government. At this time, is there any official call that you are making to your members?
At this point in time, we are monitoring the situation. We are addressing issues as they come per department to ensure that departments does not put our members at risks. And where we feel that there's a risk that our members will be put in, we engage the Department of Labour immediately. And if there's need for prohibition, the Department of Labour will issue prohibition to ensure that departments address and adhere to the regulations by means of making sure that offices, there's enough social distances, there's provision of PPEs, and also there's proper screening and sanitizing of employees when they report to the department, and that we are monitoring on a daily basis.
What happens if you're not satisfied, if they don't meet the standards that you are insisting on?
Look, first of all, we know that this concerns the Occupational Health and Safety Act, and we, in terms of the process, the first call is the Department of Labour inspection to ensure that there's a compliance, and failing which we will approach courts to ensure that we interdict the employer for calling all our members to come back to work while there's no measures that are put in place to ensure that they are safe from COVID-19.
How far are you away from that, though? I would imagine that you're still waiting for a more positive outcome from government and specifically the Department of Labour.
Look, we are monitoring that situation, and we are saying today's Monday. We know that majority of our members are back at work. We are all over on the ground. Our shop stewards are giving reports, and any negative reports by close of business today will follow up with the relevant department or relevant regional offices of the public service to ensure that they adhere to the regulations, they adhere to Occupational Health and Safety, failing which we'll have to enforce the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
Which departments are in a worse position than others?
Look, we received reports about the National Department of Transport. We have received reports in Kimberley from the Department of Home Affairs, and we are monitoring the situation. Those are the examples that we received, the reports that they are not in compliance, and we are going to make sure that by close of business today, we get firm reports and we'll make sure that they comply.
So let's look at the Department of Transport as an example then, Mr. Maleka. Where is the failure of compliance in that respect?
There is, from the reports that we initially got from our members on the ground, was that the space in the department is not sufficient for 100% return of all employees. Remember, most of these departments like transport, their office space is what you call open plan. And when you do an open plan and you call everybody, given the standards of social distancing, it might not be possible to ensure that the social distancing is taking place. Therefore, we are saying if you've got that kind of a situation, you cannot say 100% of employees must be returned to work. We are busy engaging the department. We are going to make sure that at least, even if they say 75%, to allow that situation to happen whereby social distancing can be possible, will be amenable. But 100%, we are definitely sure that it's going to risk our members, and that can be allowed.
So in the Department of Transport, for instance, would you be looking for more space? Would you be looking for screening to be put up in the open plan areas? What specifically would you want?
Yeah, definitely would want that in an open plan there must be some sort of shields around the cubicles, so that each and every employee does not, being able to have contact with another employee next to himself or herself, so that end of the day, everybody that is able to remember, these people, when they are sitting there, they're using phones, which means that the possibility of spitting is also there. Therefore, it might create a flare up of infection if it's there. So therefore, we are saying there must be strict cubicles whereby employees can be safe from each other, and there's no possible infection in the open plan.
Are you worried that this current argument that you have with government might impact in any way on your current wage negotiations, and the gap between what you want and what government is prepared to offer you is fairly wide at this point?
Look, first of all, remember, even from our side as PSA, we believe that COVID-19 has actually came with some positives. Some of the positives is that it has shown us people, in fact, can work remotely and more productively than being in the office. Therefore, we are also saying that as part of a new life, a new way, government must consider also making that those who are able to work virtually must continue to do so. In that way, they also create a more space for those who need the space to be physically in the office. And it's part of our demands, it's part of things that we need to discuss in the bargaining council, the PSCBC, so that we can also save government of cost in terms of accommodation. Instead of hiring a huge building at a high cost, they can actually let employees who can work from home to work from home.
All right, Reuben Maleka, thank you very much indeed. Speaks for the Public Servants Association.